The Very Serious Crafts podcast is now on Patreon. Visit patreon.com/seriouscrafts to support our podcast. Find out about our Patreon half-stitched episodes and more.
Hello and welcome to Season 4, Episode 5 of the Very Serious Crafts podcast. I'm Mollie from Wild Olive.
And I'm Haley from Red Handled Scissors and the Bones and Bobbins podcast, and many books on your bookshelf. That's right. Today, we will be talking about fascinating fasteners.
Indeed. And you may have heard an extra voice as Haley was talking about her books in the intro.
As I was self-promoting.
That's right. That's fair. That's fair here. And so we also have Katie of the Green Bean podcast, who you may know about because we are good friends and I talk about Katie a lot. So hello, Katie.
Hi, I'm here. It's so good to be here. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
We're glad you're here. And if you are a regular listener, we have not invited Katie to do an interview. We've invited Katie to just chat with us like we normally would do.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't
Just hanging
know
out.
whether you invited me or I invited myself.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Don't think it matters.
I'm not ashamed.
Because we would have invited you anyway.
Exactly.
Um,
I feel like I floated that idea at some point. So
You definitely floated that idea well before any self-invitation may
Okay.
or may not have occurred.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have been talking about how nice it would be to have you come on and say hi in our like pre-show chats. Probably since the beginning of the podcast.
Probably.
Every once in a while. Yeah. So it's really great. And if you have not seen Katie's The Green Bean podcast, you would be very much in for a treat. It is a lovely combination of beautiful moors?
Moors, that's correct, yeah.
Yes. Beautiful moors and nature and a cute dog and also making things.
All of my favourite things wrapped up in
Yes.
lovely YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So, right. That was where I was headed with that. It's on YouTube because you need to see it to get the full effect of how wonderful it is.
Yes.
So,
Oh,
and we'll link
thank
to
you.
that obs in the show notes.
Yes, of course. Of course.
So, before we jump into talking, we want to give a shout out to our serious friend of the Very Serious Crafts podcast, who is now supporting us on patreon.com/seriouscraft. Many thanks to Yona for joining us. You're the best.
Thank you.
And obviously the rest of our very serious friends are also very much the best.
Obviously. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You all get to be the best.
Yes. Hi, Yona.
So, I suggested that we talk about fasteners today, and I put this I put this list together of like things that we could talk about, like, and really the bottom line was I wanted to talk about Dorset Buttons. That was really the motivation.
I don't even think I know what a Dorset button is.
So
And I didn't look it up specifically.
Okay. Katie should be the more, like, you probably have a Katie's face right now is like, don't make me talk about Dorset buttons. But these buttons originated in Dorset, which is geographically closer to Katie than either of us.
This is true. It is
Okay.
the next county over from where I live. So
Yes.
geographically it's very close.
But yes. And I may have even been introduced to Dorset Buttons by you, Katie. That may be wrong, I'd probably seen them before we ever talked about them. But then recently I encountered a bunch of, well, like bone rings, the little like crafting rings that are, now they're plastic, that you use for making a variety of things.
I know about them.
Yes, of course you do. And someone said, "Oh, you should make Dorset buttons with those." So, for those who are unfamiliar,
I think I know what that is.
so it starts as a ring, and then you like wrap string or yarn around, or thread around the ring, and you create these little weaving designs in the middle, and they can be very complicated. Lots of different options and designs to do in those. And they said you should make some, and I was like, well, yes, I should. And I have not done that yet, but I would really like to. So
yeah, that's cool.
It was before they were common, before other types of buttons were widely available. So we're talking about like, let me see. Wait, okay, I'm gonna get the accurate information here. Their manufacture was at a peak between 1622 and 1850. And then machine-made buttons were the thing. So,
and then the Victorian age happened.
But they're just they're beautiful, and yeah.
I think I've accidentally made one when practicing darning.
That makes sense.
Yes.
Or at least doing the thing that secretly people who write about crafts do, which is make something that looks really good in a macro photo that is not actually attached to anything. I believe that was the circumstance.
Well, and that does get me to like me thinking, what would I in reality do with these buttons if I made them? Because I'm not a big...
I know.
Well, okay. Go ahead.
Car coats.
Pardon?
What?
Oh, car coats. Like 1920s car coats. They are very boxy, long. They have open...
Okay.
And they always have giant buttons. And only a couple of them.
Okay, so you're suggesting I should sew a coat specifically so that I can make buttons?
No, I'm suggesting you replace buttons on an existing coat.
Oh. Okay, that makes more sense.
You can dive directly into car coats. They are not a particularly forgiving silhouette if you have a posterior, which I do. Nonetheless, I do own two, and I do not care.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, to me, these kind of fall into the category of like novelty buttons, which I also think are cute, but I don't know what to do with. Although I do know of a quilter who once spent like upwards of $50 on the novelty buttons to go on a project.
Sounds familiar.
It wasn't you, Katie. Although, the first time that we ever met in person, I have this memory of me taking you to my local needlework store and you, like, you were just delighted over their wall of novelty buttons. I may remember that wrong.
Are we talking about me?
Yes, you.
I mean, I do get delighted about buttons regularly. And, spending as much as I spent on the fabric for a project on buttons is normal.
Relatable content.
Yes. But thinking about what you were saying about what you would use Dorset buttons for, I actually did some illustration for a lady called Tanya Ashton Jones, who specializes in making Dorset buttons. And she, as well as making them for buttons, she makes them for like Christmas decorations or brooches, earrings, jewelry.
Oh,
well,
I've seen brooches.
I found, as I was getting ready to, just sort of gush over Dorset buttons, I did find a necklace that someone made and shared on, or has on Etsy, and I thought, okay, I could do that. That would
Metal
work.
bobbin lace Dorset buttons.
Yes.
Oh boy.
I don't have time for that right now.
I was gonna say, I feel like something is about to happen in this conversation with things. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I am over here doing my Aspie flapping because I want to do it now. Except that
Nope.
no.
Nope. Don't do that.
No.
Anyway, so that's me talking about buttons today.
Oh,
I don't.
have so many
I
novelty
just don't
buttons.
use. I use like occasional buttons in my making because I don't do a lot of garment sewing. So, yeah.
I'm extremely particular about buttons, and I will sometimes have the buttons be the foundation of a garment.
Katie, can you?
Yes. Yes.
Katie can confirm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, and also like when you're ordering buttons, which I do like to choose things in person, but obviously we haven't been able to really do that for a year.
Right.
So you order your buttons online and you don't know if they're going to be quite right for your project. So you order 10 different other options at the same time, just so
Well, of
that
course.
you have choices.
Yeah.
That is the only reasonable and responsible thing to do. Also, for the environment, you don't want to pay shipping charges and have all of that extra carbon attached to your project,
Yeah.
right?
And you never know when those buttons that didn't work for one project they could inspire a different project.
Exactly. But yeah, I hear you, Haley, on like starting with the beautiful button and then envisioning whatever project it is around that beautiful button.
Do you know that there are 2, at least, stores in New York City devoted entirely to buttons?
Why haven't I been there?
I don't know.
Well, because, at least as far as I'm concerned, I have only seen you once and it was in the wrong borough.
Yes.
Yeah. I assume that they're in the garment district.
No.
Oh.
One of them is. The other one is further north.
Okay.
Like by Central Park.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh. I guess I feel like I've seen one that was near MJ Trims.
Yeah, that's Lulu Buttons.
Okay.
And Tender Buttons is the sort of very famous button store that I have not actually been there because I don't go anywhere. But the photos just bring me up short. I think I would just stand in there utterly overly stimulated.
Yeah.
I would need to bring a friend who could, like, poke at me so I would stop being that weird in public.
I'm not sure if Katie or I would be the right friend because we
No.
might join you in that.
I was just thinking of why we haven't been to this button store in New York is probably because we were spent too long in MJ Trim.
Probably.
And, needed to be
Oh my
removed
goodness.
by other members of
There
our
I
party
have
who were
been.
less interested in crafty items.
Which was the problem the last time that we were there, I think, it was just the two of us.
Yes.
And, yeah.
Yes, there
And
was nobody
see,
to
that would be
remove us.
similar to starting with buttons. If I have a pretty trim or ribbon, that probably needs to be the starting point for me there.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Cannot agree more.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what I'm going to make, so the sheer quantity that I must procure, because you never know.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's phenomenal. Well, I think that when you guys are finally able to come visit, that we need to have at least 2 button stores on our
Yes.
list.
So, what is our next fastener to discuss?
Oh, I have this jar of zippers.
Oh,
well,
zips.
let's be honest. I have multiple jars of zippers behind me. And they are organized together. They're clipped together by variety and length because I have so many of them that going through would be a chore. So they're all labeled.
Right.
They're all labeled and grouped. And I love them.
Do you go variety first and then length? Or the other way around? Katie, you're laughing like that's a ridiculous question. We all know that that's
No,
everyone wants to know this.
I'm just
Yeah.
curious.
It depends on the circumstance. So for like, I keep standard sizes around for skirts and for back zippers on dresses. So I tend to have a lot in the lengths that I know are the right lengths for me as a person whose rib cage and hips just do not have any distance between them. Mm-hmm. And so I generally speaking, if I'm just out and find something I'm enamored with, I will default to one of those two sizes. But if I just come across a zipper in the wild, well, now I have many that I have one that is polka dotted.
Okay.
And giant.
Oh.
It's like a coat, like a winter coat zipper. And it's definitely made to be seen. And it's also like a really heavy zipper.
Yeah.
So it can't really be put on anything that I would sit down in that would need to curve.
Okay.
So that has been in my collection, I think, since maybe CHA, the Craft and Hobby Association trade show that's now not called that. I don't know. Creativation is what it's called now. In 2009, maybe?
Yeah. It's
2010.
I was going to say it's approaching vintage now.
It really is. But metal zippers. Those are the things that I cannot live without. Metal show zippers. I don't know that I've ever seen a metal no-show zipper or invisible zipper.
Yeah, probably not.
No.
I don't know. But
Though I'm not sure why you wouldn't. I guess maybe because you're stitching close enough that you don't want your needle to break.
yeah, or maybe they're just a little bit larger.
I was going to say, is it an issue of scale?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I don't know.
But, give me a metal zipper and I will be an extremely pleased human being.
I hate zips. We clearly differ on this. I do not enjoy zips. Zips, not zippers, by the way.
Oh, yeah, okay, fine. I'm willing to call them whatever. I just like them. But once I found out that you can use painter's tape to just hold them in place, or you can staple them in place, or whatever you want so they don't move when you sew.
What's painter's tape?
A masking tape?
Oh, masking tape, yeah.
But it is a less sticky version of masking tape.
Like washi tape.
Yeah, pretty similar, except
but-
wider.
Yeah.
Less sticky.
And I would say probably a little more durable.
Thicker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Designed for it's less sticky.
Designed for
Painting
placing
trim.
zips.
Sure. I have not tried painter's tape. I've heard Scotch tape. Someone told me
Stitch witchery, I
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
use.
I just try to avoid them when possible.
I avoid zips
But
at all costs.
You can also just tack them in by hand.
Yeah, but
I'd still
and-
rather not have one.
Fine. Install that button plaquette.
okay, so
You
then
do you.
what would be your preferred fastener if it weren't buttons or zips, since we've already discussed those?
I mean, my preferred fastener is a fastener that doesn't need to exist. I like garments that can go over my head without me needing to do any things.
Yeah.
If things need to happen, I much prefer buttons. I'm sitting here wearing dungarees that I've just finished with 4 hand-sewn buttonholes, which took me a day because my sewing machine refused.
That is a fair refusal.
But now they're so much more special anyway.
Well, and they'll last forever.
Oh, but I just moaned the entire way through the process of...
So you shouldn't make needle lace, is what you're telling us.
No. No.
I find that, well, because it's a really similar stitch for fine mending, and I find fine mending to be extremely satisfying to do as long as I don't have time pressure attached to it.
Yeah.
Like in the same way that I like to untangle yarn or embroidery floss. How did we get to there? I don't know.
I was going to ask, okay, so at the top of your dungarees, or your overalls, as we say in the United States, what is the name of, what do you have for yours? Are they like the little, like the thing that hooks over the button?
I just like, you don't know what the name is.
I don't know what the name is.
Yeah, it's the thing.
I have some in a package somewhere.
The package says dungaree fasteners or dungaree clips.
Okay. That's probably then what they're called.
Oh, they've got to have a different name.
Oh, well.
I want them to have like a weird old-timey name.
Yeah.
Well.
Okay,
they
but...
probably don't.
Oh, no, do you know what? Actually, I know what the package says because it reminds me of my grandma, because my grandma would always call it bib and braces. And the package said,
yes,
bib and brace set.
Okay.
Now that makes...
That's cute. I like that.
Like the whole braces genre of things that can mean really, really, really makes my day.
Yeah.
I have just done a lot of Victorian mourning research. So
all right.
And also I took a deep dive into the medieval French court recently. And so there are, like, braces can mean so many things.
Yeah, but
mostly bras.
But what we would call braces, which would be things to hold typically menswear trousers up, you would call suspenders.
Yeah.
Which is something entirely different over here.
Yeah, which is interesting because that also is an undergarment as well.
Correct.
A historical undergarment. Overall buckles. That
overall buckles.
What they are here.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, so that's boring. Yeah, I refuse. But can I tell you about my favorite kind of buttons?
Yes.
Why wouldn't we want to hear?
Well, because I am a gigantic weirdo. All right. I love buttons that are made for uniforms, like for a very specific thing. So like, the Waterbury Button Company is just a thing that makes me very, very happy. I want to say I think it's in Connecticut. And they have done the New York Fire Department dress uniform buttons that say City of New York, FD, in them. Cool. And they do the military buttons that all have different meanings depending on the uniforms, team buttons. But I just adore historical, situation-specific buttons. I believe they did the Titanic buttons.
Amazing.
Also.
Okay.
The White Star Line buttons, because the port that the Titanic was coming to was here.
Okay, so think back to, we did a half-stitched episode where we dug through our craft tins. That was, I think, a little bit like ASMR as we were clunking through the especially I think the buttons. And one of the buttons that I found, you kind of helped me identify it as being from like a train conductor or engineer or a train related uniform button. And it all kind of like connected with family history that I knew, which was, they're amazing.
Oh, I don't think I knew the end part. That's cool.
Yeah.
Or I don't remember it because my brain is fried.
We had a family member who worked for the railroad and like was presented with like a gold stopwatch or, pocket watch.
Oh, I love that.
And of course my brother is a big train fan. So yeah, those things all connect. It's pretty fun.
Oh, that makes me happy.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just very into almost anything that has specificity.
All right. Now, I also wanted to, Katie, I don't know if you will remember this either. I sometimes have really weird specific memories about certain things. So, the first time that I came to visit you, we had a little craft night at your house. And I think you invited a couple friends over.
I did.
And I don't remember why, but I remember talking about snaps, the fastener called snaps. And I have this strong memory of your friends looking at me like I had 3 heads because I was like, what have I just said? Did I say something that I shouldn't say in the UK? Like, have I just said something really vulgar? Because you just never know.
I'm trying extremely hard not to yell out vulgarities that are not vulgar here.
I know.
I just want you all to know that I am holding back.
I want to hear them all afterwards, but
I have a running list of of synonyms for
I'm looking forward to
balls. You're welcome.
Okay.
Carry on.
And anyway,
I was trying to be as inoffensive as possible.
yes, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
You kept it inoffensive enough that I'm leaving this in the podcast. I'm not editing this part out. I've just declared it. So anyway, and I think it's just because you have, in the UK, they're just not called that. But what do you call what we call snaps?
Well, I'm not sure if what I call them is what people generally call them, but I guess people wouldn't generally say snaps. They might say snap fasteners or poppers, which is also something else.
That's a whole evening of something.
But my family used to call them press studs. So,
Okay. See?
I mean, that makes complete sense.
It says what it is.
Yeah.
Actually, interestingly enough, Prim, which I don't even know if they exist anymore because
They certainly do over here.
Do they? They are called non-sew press fasteners,
Yeah.
according to them.
Yeah.
So button clasp fastener with press stud.
Oh boy, this gets complicated.
But yeah, I think I've most frequently heard them called poppers.
Well, and if
Wikipedia has multiple words.
Oh, but see,
Okay.
if you think though, really quick, like poppers and snaps, in both situations, we're describing the sound that they make.
Mm-hmm. It's very
When-
onomatopoeic, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. It's
Yeah.
such a good word.
Titch is the one that we have not
I've never
brought
heard
up
that.
that is in that.
I've never heard
What was that, Haley?
used.
I missed that.
Titch, T-I-C-H.
Huh.
No.
No, I've never heard that
It
one.
doesn't say where, and I'm not going to take that deep dive.
No, I was going to
Yes,
wonder if
spare
that's
you.
Scottish, perhaps.
All right, well, listeners, if you know, please tell us, obviously.
Perhaps Wales.
Perhaps. I'm not going to start guessing now.
No, me neither. I've never heard that one before.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking things I cannot pronounce.
Sure.
That I would not understand if said to me directly, and
Sure.
I do not think I would understand titch in passing conversation.
I wonder if it's more of a tich.
Okay.
Probably. Oh, maybe it's German.
I want to look it up now.
Oh, well,
All right.
okay, this is
All right.
this is how this goes. This is what we do. So, all right, in real time.
I mean,
semi-real
I
time.
speak German. I feel like I should know that. But
I'm also a little nervous to just okay, well. Okay, first search was not good here. It's okay. All right, we're going to try another search.
there seems to be a band or a show.
Huh.
There we go. Okay. India.
Oh.
All of the list of places where it is listed as titch seems to be primarily in India.
Interesting. And actually, when I looked it up, it pulled up even for sets of these that are being sold on like Amazon and Walmart in the US. So it's clearly or Etsy, or it's clearly a word that is used widely enough that people attach it to these listings.
I just found a new tool that I have to have.
Uh-oh.
It's called the Buttoneer.
Oh,
I'm ordering it immediately. It apparently sews buttons very quickly. I'm positive it doesn't work. Much like, the handy stitch that was supposed to be like the stapler-shaped hemming machine.
This is yeah. This is as seen on TV, the Buttoneer.
ooh.
I'm really excited. It's coming. It's on its way.
Oh, well, you're definitely going to have to report back on this.
I was going to say this needs to be a follow-up episode.
Don't worry.
You know what? Like, I suddenly feel like we could have a whole episode devoted to as seen on TV crafting tools.
Oh my gosh, yes, please.
Right?
Or as seen on the internet,
Yeah,
I suppose.
yeah, but
since, well, I'm just thinking of all of the ads I get on Instagram that I'm like, I am a professional and I don't think that works.
Yeah.
Nobody asked for my opinion is the thing.
Okay, well, I definitely want to hear how the Buttoneer works for you. Oh, this goes back a long time.
It's
There's
arriving
some
on
old
Monday.
ones.
Yeah.
Amazing.
The box looks like it is not new. So maybe it's dead stock.
I mean,
Okay. Anyway,
there's different styles that go
we
back.
took that detour.
Yeah, the Buttoneer 2 that
Ooh.
looks like it's from like, I don't know, the late 60s or 70s?
The one I ordered looks like it's from the 80s.
Is yours the blue one or the orangey gold one?
Blue.
Okay, this is like more like instead of like the two fingers thing that the blue one has. This is engaging content for those listening. This one is more like you hold the whole thing in your hand and squeeze it. I don't know. This is interesting.
Singer has a competitive product called the Singer Button Magic.
Okay.
I mean, so maybe I'm gonna get that one too. Inquiring minds need to know.
It's true.
And my neighborhood has an extremely active Buy Nothing group. So they can find homes. Also, they are inexpensive.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, this is it's for craft science, you know? So, hey.
I can always be depended upon to get the weird thing for, ooh, I could get it as early as tomorrow.
Well,
I think I'm just going to let it come on Monday with the other one.
okay.
Okay. All right. There we are. Well,
Honestly,
I will report back.
I think that could be a good place to end this episode.
Yeah, I think maybe too. I think that we can complain or wax poetic about other fasteners at a different time.
Sure.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. All right.
Well, now that we have gone down several unexpected rabbit holes that my
That you
Googling
led us
could
on.
probably be blamed. Yeah, I always am like the head of the rabbit hole caravan. That is my job.
Yes.
Yes. So, thanks to everyone for listening to the Very Serious Crafts podcast and for putting up with several very unexpected wanderings.
Yes. But they were all very serious crafts related, so, you know.
Indeed.
I don't know
and
what-
we learned a new word.
We did.
Yes. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Serious Crafts and on Facebook at Very Serious Crafts for more scintillating content. You can also find show notes plus all things Very Serious Crafts at veryseriouscrafts.com, where we will include these tools also.
Yeah, obviously.
We must. And finally, if you're a fan of the Very Serious Crafts podcast, please leave us a 5-star review on whichever platform you use to listen to podcasts. Good ratings help us show up in recommendations, which helps more people who love crafting find us.
Yes. And thank you, Katie, for coming and hanging out with us. And
Yes!
Thank you for having me.
yeah, we're delighted that you're here. Obviously.
I'm always happy to be here and talk about buttons anytime. Just not zips.
Okay, not zips. All right. Well,
Full stop.
we won't do that
Yes.
anymore. All right. All right. And that's it for now.